Tonight, could fixing up old housing trust homes help lift the economy in Whyalla? And the fun of the race is a perfect day for St Pat's in Broken Hill.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening. But first tonight, Port Augusta Council has backed down on plans to demolish its Be Active Community Centre after it failed to come up with an alternative venue for the kinder gym. The old building has been deemed to have major structural issues, but parents say it's better than having no place for their kids to exercise at all.
Port Augusta's kinder gym is saved for now. Council was going to demolish the Be Active Centre, leaving the playtime for kids with nowhere to go. But it's now agreed to delay the demolition until more research into alternative venues is done.
You've got the kinder gym, which is a very passionate thing to new parents. So we've got to work through how we can relocate those activities in the right place.
Hancock Stadium was the forerunner to take in kinder gym, but that building needs significant upgrades too.
Now we're looking at the costings of Hancock Stadium. That's what we're working towards, to try to create an area where all sports and activities can occur.
Worried parents demonstrated outside of council chambers last week. They say cutting kinder gym would lead to more obesity in a town that already has a problem.
Well, the main concern is that there's lack of exercise places for young kids at the moment. And the last thing you need to do is to cut more of them out. And this is exactly what they're doing here. But
the Deputy Mayor says it's not the lack of venues, it's the cost to council to maintain them.
No, not really. There are venues that we can work through, but you need to cost them out and make sure they're going to do what you need to do and they're sustainable.
Yoga classes and Be Active Netball have already relocated, but the centre is also used for gymnastics and as a higher space for parties. The futures of those services are in limbo. Lauren Rose, Southern Cross News.
The state government will spend over $3 million to upgrade over 200 Whyalla Housing Trust properties. The government says not only will tenants get modern facilities, but the work will help stimulate the local economy.
Anne KAMIN has lived at her housing trust property for over a decade and has been after a renovated bathroom since she moved in. She's now set for a new one, which she says will be easier for her to look after.
The bathroom was really getting quite antiquated. Yeah, hard to clean the tiles and everything, so it's going to be nice.
Anne is one of 220 housing trust tenants in Whyalla that'll be getting a renovation. The state government is spending over $3 million to bring forward much needed upgrades.
It's more than 40 kitchens, more than 40 bathrooms. That's the kind of work that we're looking. We're also looking at some of the flat groups as well.
The work will be done over the next year, with local contractors to be used, a move the local member welcomes.
Contracts have been lost to Adelaide. It's to the detriment of local people. We don't want to see that.
Plumber Steve Carlson is a beneficiary of the move to local labour. He's employed 4 new people, including 2 apprentices, to help with the scale of the work.
And now we've got this big package along now with everything that's happening, and I've got 4 people off the streets now who are working for Carlson's.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A woman from Port Lincoln will appear in court on a drink driving charge after being caught driving 5 times over the legal limit. Just after 10 last night, police saw a black SUV hit a curb as it entered Wingard Terrace and then mount the median strip. Police stopped the car and conducted a blood alcohol test on the driver. It's alleged she returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.227. The 26-year-old will appear in court at a later date and has had her car impounded. The Broken Hill Speedway saw a terrifying crash in the state sidecar finals over the weekend. The crash saw the 4 racing teams reduced to 2, with local riders Rick HOWSE and Adam Commons disqualified for causing the pile-up. One visiting rider was left with a broken wrist. We'll have a full wrap of the night later in the bulletin. Sanctuary on Eyre, a newly proposed animal care centre, is planning to open its doors on the Eyre Peninsula. The sanctuary is currently looking for land to bring refuge to local animals in need after the recent cut to RSPCA services.
It could be a sought-after haven for animals in desperate need of rescue. The newly proposed animal centre in Port Lincoln will shelter animals of all sizes, providing a sanctuary on the southern coast.
Physical hub of education, training, holiday accommodation and refuge for animals in need.
Sanctuary on Eyre is currently in the planning stages, but backers are confident they'll soon acquire land to bring back refuge for animals in Port Lincoln since the withdrawal of other rescue services.
At the moment, the RSPCA are looking at options as to whether they stay or go, but what we are doing, we are our own entity.
The animal shelter is just one component of the centre's work. The primary focus, providing animals the care and space they need.
When they come to our facility, they actually will have space, they'll have freedom to run, they'll have freedom to be the animal that are.
The Sanctuary has an information night next Thursday at the Marine Science Centre, eager to share their vision to the Port Lincoln community. Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, the fun of the races, a perfect day in Broken Hill for St Pat's. We'll head along next. Welcome back. The 52nd annual St Pat's race meeting in Broken Hill did not disappoint, with thousands coming through the gates over the weekend. Close finishes, stylish fashions and perfect weather all made for a terrific day at the racetrack.
After 52 years, there's a reason why it's still the biggest day on Broken Hill's calendar. Thousands of racegoers flocked to the course. Young and old, everyone was soaking up the sun and getting in the St Pat's spirit.
Happy St Pat's!
While some were winning big, others steered clear of the betting ring in favour of a shaded trackside table. But soon eyes were off the races and turned to the fashions. An exotic red dress saw Jessica Byrne named Colleen of the course, her handmade headpiece sealing the deal.
I was just looking for something that really popped out, and I saw this dress and I thought it was really different, and that's what we're seeing this year, a lot of different silhouettes, different sleeves. So I just saw the colour and thought, you know what, I'm going to work with that. And
a sharply dressed George Cole was declared Paddy of the course. And most complimentary couple was a tough one to pick for the judges, but it was an eye-catching hat and beautiful matching colours from Chantelle and Greg Ross, which made them the standouts.
I bought my dress over in New York, and then Rossi went and bought this ensemble, and then it actually got to the point where we worked out that we complemented each other without even realising.
And the race that stops the Silver City, the Outback Cup, was taken out by number 3, It's Fred. Jockey Justin Huxtable guided the 7-year-old gelding home on the inside to give trainer Paula Trenwith her 4th Golden Harp.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I really love coming to Broken Hill. We try and come here every single year, and I just love it. The committee look after us so well. The committee bend over backwards to make you feel welcome.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
And Broken Hill Police say the St Pat's crowd was well behaved, but unrelated incidents kept services busy. A brawl at the Musicians Club in the early hours of Saturday morning resulted in one man being tasered. 6 men were involved in the fight in the poker machine section of the club, and police are continuing their investigations. A pair of fishermen had a rare encounter with a shark over the weekend. They were fishing off the channel at Bollaroo when the large animal cruised past their boat.
Wow. Still right to go for a swim or what?
In a calm manner, it then passed by, giving them an up-close and personal glance. It didn't stick around for long, however, but the fishermen sure had a story to tell when they got back to shore. Well, over the past fortnight, serious concerns have been raised over the amount of dust coming from the Memorial Oval upgrade in Port Pirie. The Environmental Protection Authority surprised the council when they arrived to inspect the site.
Today there were several water trucks controlling the amount of dust at the Oval. But several weeks ago there was a complaint to the EPA from the Environmental Health Centre in Port Pirie. They contacted the council with concerns over the dust control procedures which were in place.
We provided them details as they requested, and that was probably the last we heard from them.
An explanation was sent back, and following was a visit from the authorities.
We were surprised about the visit from the EPA. We've got best practice dust management on site. We've had an independent assessment of our dust management techniques provided.
The EPA was happy with the practices the council has in place. Today the civil works started and the Oval was ripped up. The Environmental Health Centre was unavailable for comment today, but the council remains adamant they're doing all they can to control the dust.
We think that we've managed to satisfy the EPA that we have got good dust management practices in place, and we do take dust management seriously.
Keziah Sullivan, Southern Cross News.
The Army has wrapped up a 2-week live fire exercise at the Coltana training ground. About 200 soldiers from Darwin and Adelaide's 1st Brigade came together for the first high-level combined arms exercise of the year.
Come on! Up!
These troops are being put through their paces. A combined arms exercise is one that joins foot soldiers with engineers and artillery to teach those groups how to work together.
Each different unit and corps in the Army brings a different approach and skill set to combat, and the point is to integrate all those capabilities into a unified fighting force.
These types of exercises are particularly important for Adelaide's 1st Brigade because it typically deploys at very short notice and needs to be ready to react.
As we are the online brigade, we are on a shorter notice to deploy to any emergency or contingency that the government identifies.
The 12-day exercise was a high-intensity, realistic live fire exercise.
What we've set up is a defensive position with obstacles, with targetry up, so we can see it, and we're going to have some danger close missions being artillery firing in the vicinity.
And there were even more obstacles than what meets the eye.
We have experienced some very hot weather out here, which is always a challenge for us conducting military activities, particularly when we're dressed as we are.
The heat's a big one, not much shade as you can see from the trees, and everyone fatigues everyone in a different way than if you were just at a high tempo marching and whatnot. It really zaps it out of you.
There may be an increase of military vehicles on the region's highways as the troops make their way back to their bases. Lauren Rose, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, cricket wraps up for the year in Whyalla and Port Augusta. The grand final match reports next. Welcome back. A brand new $350,000 pontoon is now complete along Port Pirie's foreshore. It can fit 6 boats and it was built to encourage sailors to drop in and explore the city.
For years, those who enjoy time at sea have bypassed Port Pirie as a mooring facility.
Word was out amongst the yachties that there are no mooring facilities at Port Pirie, so Port Pirie was bypassed.
But now the gates are open for those who enjoy sailing at sea. It's thanks to the new 30-metre pontoon which has been built out the front of the Port Pirie Yacht Club.
The pontoon was installed 2 weeks ago, and the word got out very quickly that Port Pirie's got a very good 30-metre pontoon.
Port Pirie has also been reinstated on the annual Spencer Golf Cruise. This week, around 30 yachts will stop in to see the town.
They're at Port Augusta at the moment, and they will make their way down to Port Pirie at the weekend. The cruise will finish at Port Pirie.
And the pontoon is available for anyone.
This is not a yacht club pontoon. It's a community pontoon. It's available to the public for mooring.
Keziah Sullivan, Southern Cross News.
Well, as we showed you earlier, a spectacular pile-up in a final of the state sidecar titles has marred what was an otherwise successful event. The Broken Hill Speedway Club was overwhelmed at the turnout, with over 3,000 people all feeling the need for speed.
After the horses did their dash at St Pat's, it was high-octane and fast-paced action at Broken Hill Speedway. Over 3,000 fans packed in, with the Speedway Club barely keeping up with the demand for food and drinks.
Never ever in our wildest dreams estimated the crowd that we've got tonight, so we're extremely happy with the result. We've put in miles and miles of hard work, blood, sweat and tears.
Broken Hill was well represented on the night, with Rick Howes and Adam Commons making it through to the A final. The pair got off to a flying start but went sideways at the end of the first lap, causing a massive crash which halted the race and left the duo disqualified. But the night's move quickly turned around, with the Demolition Derby living up to all the hype. Drivers were smashing, bashing and crashing, all trying to survive. It was Carmageddon. Locals Ashley Staker and Clinton Kemp claimed joint Demo Derby champion honours, but their cars were a little worse for wear.
Yeah, I think the Demolition Derby was massively successful. That's what we aim to achieve with it.
The Speedway Club is now looking to host a sprint car event for the George Borst Memorial to coincide with the motocross.
That's to be towards the end of May. Nothing's set in concrete yet. But our first motocross round will be the 23rd of April.
Patrick Groenke, Southern Cross News.
And to the cricket now, in Central, Whyalla are the champions once again after a remarkable win over North in the grand final on Saturday. After losing 7 for 8 to be dismissed for 124, the Roosters bowlers produced a remarkable performance to secure the win. John Hunt was at the game. John, it was a pretty spectacular match.
Yeah, it was, Tim. Centrals batted first and were dismissed cheaply on what looked to be a decent wicket. North sensed they were a chance, but a remarkable effort by man of the match Brad Smith stopped them in their tracks. Centrals were in early trouble at 3 for 14 before Jared Dunbar and Scott Collison steadied the ship, putting on 103 for the 4th wicket. After Collison was dismissed for 72, Centrals lost 7 for just 8 runs, to be dismissed for a measly 124. Needing just 2.5 runs per over, North started reasonably steady and looked comfortable before Brad Smith stepped in. In 8 overs he took 6 wickets for 7 runs, crushing North's dreams of premiership glory. North could only muster 74 as Centrals for the second successive week bowled their way to victory. After the match, Central's captain Scott Collison was full of praise for his bowling unit.
Generally, when you make 123, you realise you've put yourself under a reasonable amount of pressure, so there's, you can't bowl 50 overs and hope that you'll keep them to under that, so you need to take wickets.
So congratulations to Centrals there. That was their 14th premiership from 17 successive grand finals, a record that's unlikely to be beaten. It was grand final weekend in Port Augusta as well, with Quorn taking out the title for 2017. Batting first, Quorn posted an impressive 9 for 217 at a good Etsa Park deck. In reply, West Augusta took the contest to the final over, but couldn't chase down the mammoth total. 90 from Chris Shield was not enough, as Quorn won the match by 22 runs. It's sweet relief for the club, who were knocked out in straight sets last year after finishing top. Meanwhile, across the rest of the region, it was preliminary final weekend in Port Pirie and semi-final weekend in Port Lincoln. In Pirie, Wandera will now play Solomon Town North in a repeat of the major semi-final. 3 wickets from Michael Ashman and Mark Congdon helped them to a comfortable win over Props. And in Port Lincoln, Tasman are through to the Port Lincoln Grand Final after a 3-wicket win over Southern Eyre. Charlton will play Southern Eyre in the prelim after a comfortable 8-wicket win over Waybacks in the elimination final. So once again, congratulations to Centrals and Quorn. Plenty of other finals action in other sports across the region, and we'll bring you those results tomorrow night.
Good stuff, thank you, John. We'll stay with us after the break, a check of how the local weather's panning out for the week ahead. Welcome back. Turning to the weather now, and a warm one today, getting to 36 in Port Augusta and in Port Pirie. Whyalla today 34, Port Lincoln with showers atop of 30, Broken Hill seeing some storm activity rolling past 31 today's top. On the national satellite, a thick cloud band is heading our way, set to generate some unsettled conditions. Out on the Gulf waters, the winds to 20 knots into the east, the seas to 1.5 meters and southerly. Sunrise at 22 minutes past 7. So looking at tomorrow, we've got a sunny 31 on the way for Port Augusta and 29 in Whyalla. Port Pirie on 30, Port Lincoln could see a shower again in 24 and a sunny 33 in Broken Hill. And then Port Lincoln will see the showers linger into Wednesday with 23 the top, then becoming fine. Cleve with 22 midweek, Woodner on 27 for Wednesday. Whyalla with 26 on Wednesday, then 28 for Thursday, 27 then 30 in Port Augusta, similar for Kadina. Port Pirie with 29 on Wednesday and then 30 degrees for Thursday. Clare 25 then 27, 32 midweek over in Broken Hill. And that is the Monday edition of your local news. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Don't forget you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the Southern Cross News team. Enjoy your evening. Good night.